right, we are getting breaking news out of Central Texas in Kerr County. Camp Mystic just released a statement about its campers and counselors. Let's get right to CNN anchor Pam Brown, who is nearby for the latest. Pam, what are you hearing?
This is the first time Camp Mystic is releasing a statement with a number of deaths. And in this statement, John, Camp Mystic says it is grieving the loss of 27 campers and counselors following the catastrophic flooding on the Guadalupe River. The statement goes on to say our hearts are broken alongside our families that are enduring this unimaginable tragedy. We are praying for them constantly. We have been in communication with local and state authorities who are tirelessly deploying extensive resources to search for our missing girls. We are deeply grateful for the outpouring of support from community, first responders, and officials at every level. We ask for your continued prayers, respect, and privacy for each of our families affected. May the Lord continue to wrap his presence around all of us. 27 young souls, these young campers, John, and young counselors. Remember, these counselors are teenagers for the most part. Many of them jumped into action. They were heroes. But as we are getting from this statement, some died as well. Camp Mystic did not say how many of those 27 were campers versus counselors, but presumably the bulk of them are campers. And I just can't stop thinking, John, that it was just a little over a week ago that parents dropped their young children off to have the best 4 weeks of their life at Camp Mystic, a camp I attended 30 years ago. And now some of those same parents are going to the local funeral home to potentially identify their child. It's just beyond comprehension, the heartbreak here. You feel it all around. John?
It just has to be overwhelming to be there, Pam. And again, this statement from Camp Mystic is really the first time we have heard them address fatalities. They're grieving the loss of 27 campers and counselors, I think confirming many of the worst fears that so many have been having there. Thank you for being there. Keep us posted. Obviously, this is developing, this news just coming in.
New reporting today, the long-held concerns in Kerr County over the ongoing flooding threat there. Records show that even 9 years ago, the county started considering building an early warning system, flood warning system, with sirens to better alert residents. In 2016, one county commissioner, according to meeting notes, said that the county was probably the highest risk area in the state for flooding, adding, "Our system is quite simply pretty antiquated," also saying it's marginal at best. And then a follow-up meeting a year later saying, "We can do all the water level monitoring we want, but if we don't get that information to the public in a timely way, then this whole thing is not worth it." The county's top elected official said Friday they still don't have a warning system with sirens, and a local city manager then said this yesterday.
We know questions are being asked about the emergency notification, and while it is not the time to speculate, local and regional partners are committed to a full review of the events and systems in place. At the appropriate time, we will take clear steps to strengthen our future preparedness.
Joining us right now is CNN senior national security analyst Juliette Kayyem. She's also a former assistant secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. For much more on this, Juliette, there is some of what is known, a lot of what is not, because of just the scope and magnitude of this disaster. You heard that city manager promising a review. You heard that from other officials as well. But seeing the level of destruction that these floods brought, how fast it happened, has left many officials saying that there's nothing that could have prevented something like this. Do you see it that way?
Well, with all due respect, no. And I don't like the fatalistic attitude about disaster management preparation. Flash floods happen often. Bad flash floods happen often. And we have to learn about what happened here because of the devastating impact that this has had on that community that it hasn't had in other communities. Because we look at this comparatively, right? I mean, we're hitting, I don't know if we're at 100 yet, but this is a mass casualty event that we don't generally see. So there's three focuses of this study, and I'm grateful that the Kerr County is committed to this. The first is notifications that something bad is happening. As we've seen from National Weather Service, those notifications were getting more and more frantic overnight. It is nighttime, it's a holiday weekend, but those were occurring. The second is the connectivity between those alerts and someone doing something. Alerts aren't self-executing. You need emergency managers, locals, camp counselors, trailer park owners, all of them to know what's going on. And then the third is, are people acting in response to this? There is a breakdown. We know that. And we know that because of the impact on one particular place, Camp Mystic. I mean, if you look at the numbers, which is what we have to do, we owe it to the dead and those girls, you have to look why at this particular camp, what happened in terms of notification and readiness. And that is the review that we have to do, apolitical, so that we're committed to being ready for the next one and more lives can be saved next time.
And as another official said this morning, it's something, when people say it's something I've never seen anything like this, it is something, saying those words is something that people are going to have to get more and more used to saying because of the nature of the climate crisis, the effects of which we're already seeing: harsher, faster, bigger flooding. And that also impacts preparation for, which is exactly kind of what you're getting at. It's as the ball game changes, they all need to start looking at it a slightly different way. And part of, and Elena was talking about this, there are questions being raised about the impacts, the role of the federal government in this preparation, and kind of the nature of the federal government cuts that the administration is putting in place. Still, one local in Travis County, the local judge there was just on Speaking to John and said that his first question coming out of this tragedy, and they did lose about a half dozen lives in Travis County, the first question coming out of this is, what is the future of the National Weather Service? Let me play this for you.
The first question I have is funding for the National Weather Service and for FEMA going to continue? Because my team, we have meetings throughout the day with the sheriff's office, with EMS, with firefighters, first responders. Every single one of those meetings starts with an update from the National Weather Service. They are an absolute critical partner to what we do. We could not do this without them.
There have been some local officials who have pointed the finger at the Weather Service, saying that the amount of rain that fell in certain locations was never in any of the forecasts at all. But without a direct connection, even in the absence of it, how do you see this?
Yeah. So, and I'm glad Andy Brown mentioned this. For people who've never been in an emergency operations center, you have these briefings every hour, every 2 hours as the crisis is ongoing. And if it's a weather-related event, the National Weather Service starts that meeting and says, here's what we're seeing. I mean, it's intelligence. I mean, you wouldn't go to war without having intelligence guide what you're seeing on the ground. That's what the National Weather Service is. And so everyone's going to look for that light bulb or that missing link, that if only this had happened, everyone would be saved. Disaster management doesn't work that way. We have to, it's a totality of efforts that go to minimizing harm. We judge it by if things can be less bad. That's essentially it, because bad things are happening. National Weather Service, NOAA, FEMA are all part of that. And while we can debate what happened this time, I think everyone needs to take a step back and realize that our investments in preparing these communities to climate disasters, we don't even debate climate change, is a commitment that we owe these children, but it's what government is about. This is when people need government, when their homes are destroyed, their children are lost, and we need to reinvest in that preparedness. And I'm going to be a little bit personal here. I wrote a book called The Devil Never Sleeps about sort of ongoing large disasters, but it actually is a line from a woman who's very faithful from Joplin, Missouri. They lost over 100 people in a tornado over a decade ago. But the second part of her line is more important. So the devil never sleeps, but he only wins if we don't do better next time. And people of all faiths and no faiths have to commit to that because we will see these disasters again and again and again.